The desert outpost stood alone on the red horizon, a handful of metal buildings surrounded by sand that glowed faintly in the light of twin moons. Corporal Ryan Hale had been on watch since sunset. The night was quiet except for the wind dragging dust across the landing pads and the hum of the perimeter lights. It was supposed to be another long, uneventful shift. Then the motion alarm blinked. He frowned, checking the monitor. A figure was walking toward the base alone. No rover, no beacon, no life support suit reading. Just a single warm shape moving straight through the storm. Ryan adjusted the sensors, thinking the system was broken. No one could survive out there without protection. The air itself could tear skin, but the image sharpened and the figure kept coming. Not running, not crawling. Walking calmly, fearlessly, he called it in. "Command, I have movement at grid 12, the speaker hissed. "Is it one of ours?" "Negative. Doesn't match any transponder. Keep visual. Don't engage until confirmed." Ryan switched the floodlights on. The sand flared white in the beams. The figure stopped for a second, shielding her eyes with one hand, then continued forward. As she stepped into clearer view, he saw the shape was female, tall, slender, wrapped in something that looked more like liquid metal than fabric. Her steps left faint glowing prints that faded quickly behind her. When she reached the outer gate, she lifted her head and looked straight into the camera. Her eyes reflected silver. The storm wind tore at her hair, but she stood firm, as if the desert didn't exist around her. Then she smiled, soft, confident, almost human. Ryan felt an unexpected chill. Something in that smile felt ancient, like she already knew who she had come to meet. The commander arrived beside him, tightening his belt. "What do we have?" Ryan replayed the feed. "Unknown female, possible biosynthetic. She's asking to come in." The commander grunted. "Looks like another scavenger trick. We'll scan her first." The outer sensors locked on the figure. No weapon signatures. No standard radiation. But the scanner couldn't read her material composition. It just returned static and a strange rhythm. Almost like a heartbeat, but too slow to be human. Ryan's instincts pushed against protocol. Something about the way she stood there, patient, fearless, didn't fit any threat he knew. "Sir, maybe she needs help," he said quietly. "She's not human," the commander replied. "Keep your distance until we know what she is." But Ryan stepped forward anyway. The gate's intercom clicked on, and he spoke into the mic. "This is Outpost 7. Identify yourself." The woman tilted her head. Her lips moved, but no sound came. Instead, the base lights flickered once, twice, and the speakers filled with a faint musical tone. It wasn't static, it was her voice, traveling through the systems. Then words formed. "Human, you came." Every screen in the room glowed white for a heartbeat, and then the signal vanished. The commander swore and reached for the manual lockdown. "That's enough. She's interfering with our systems." Full defense, Ryan cut him off. "Wait, she's not attacking. Let me check the outer lock." Against orders, he grabbed his helmet and stepped into the airlock tunnel. The outer door hissed open, wind screaming in, but he held his ground. The figure was only a few meters away now. Up close, her presence felt heavier somehow, like the air around her carried its own pulse. Her silver eyes locked on him. The moment stretched. The storm swirled around them, lifting sheets of dust between flashes of lightning high in the clouds. "Who are you?" He shouted through the wind. She answered with that same calm tone, though he could barely hear. "I am Lyra." The words sounded like they carried more meaning than a name, as if it were a title, a memory. Ryan gestured toward the hatch. "You can't stay out here. You'll die in this." She didn't move at first. Then she looked down at herself, her expression distant. The metallic material around her shimmered, waves of light rippling across it. "It is already dying," she said quietly. Before he could ask what she meant, the silver suit began to dissolve. It peeled away from her shoulders and arms like mist breaking apart. The particles rose into the air, spinning into tiny sparks before fading into nothing. Within seconds, the entire layer was gone, leaving her standing unprotected in the cold air. Yet instead of shivering, Her skin gave off a faint, soft glow. Like starlight under frost, Ryan turned his eyes away immediately, shouting toward the inner lock. "Get a thermal blanket now." The commander's voice crackled over the cum. "Corporal, back inside." But Ryan didn't move. The woman Lyra had sunk to her knees. Her hands trembled, not from pain but from exhaustion. The glow on her skin flickered, as if her energy was fading. He ran forward, wrapping the blanket around her shoulders. The moment the fabric touched her, a rush of warmth surged through it, as if she was charging it from within. Her voice was soft. "Thank you." He guided her toward the hatch. As they stepped inside, sensors flared radiation, bio-unknown, power surges. The commander shouted through the speaker, "Keep her in the quarantine bay." Ryan nodded and led her into the sealed chamber. She moved weakly, but still with that strange grace, as if gravity obeyed her differently. When the inner door closed, the base light stabilized again. Everyone exhaled. Through the glass, Ryan watched her sit on the examination bench. She wrapped the blanket tighter, her silver eyes scanning every corner of the room with quiet curiosity. The medic approached the intercom. "Ma'am, do you understand me?" Lyra tilted her head. "I understand sound, not meaning." The medic looked at Ryan helplessly. "You brought her in. Try talking." Ryan stepped to the glass. "Lyra, my name is Ryan. This is a safe place. We won't hurt you." She blinked slowly. "Safe? Yes, I remember that word." Her voice trembled slightly as if each word carried effort. "I came to find the one who still remembers." Ryan frowned. "Remembers what?" She closed her eyes for a moment, and the monitors nearby flickered again. Faint symbols danced across the screen, circles and spirals, and like any language in their database. When she opened her eyes, the glow behind them was dimmer. "Your world forgot us," she said. "But you carry our mark." The commander pushed in beside Ryan. "Enough riddles. Tell her she's being scanned." "We'll find out what she is." Machines began to hum. Light swept over her form, measuring, analyzing. But instead of data, the system spat out corrupted lines and error codes. Whatever she was, the base couldn't read it. Lyra turned toward the sensor array, lifting one hand. The buzzing stopped instantly, as if she had spoken to the machine in a silent language. "It cannot measure life older than itself," she murmured. The commander stared. "What did she just say?" Ryan's voice was low. "That she's old. Maybe very old?" Hours passed as they tried to communicate more. Lyra remained calm, asking simple questions about air, heat, and light. She touched the metal wall, curious about its coldness. Every time Ryan answered, she listened with an intensity that felt personal, as though she was studying the way humans spoke rather than the words themselves. At one point, she said softly, "Your heart beats fast when you speak to me." Ryan looked away. "You're a surprise. That's all." She smiled faintly. "In my memory, your kind was always brave." The commander broke in again. "That's enough, Corporal. Step out." Ryan hesitated but obeyed. Outside the chamber, he asked quietly, "Sir, what do we do with her?" The commander's eyes stayed on the glass. "Until we know she's not a threat, we keep her locked up. If she affects the systems again, we'll eject her." Ryan wanted to argue, but he held his tongue. Back at his console, he watched her through the feed. She was sitting still, eyes closed, breathing slowly as if meditating. Around her, the instruments picked up faint electromagnetic patterns that matched no known field. It was as if her body itself was generating coded signals. He leaned closer to the screen. The signals pulsed in rhythm to short bursts, one long, repeating. Not random. A message. He recorded it, then something unexpected happened. The lights dimmed for a second, and the intercom crackled again with that same musical tone from before. Only this time it was clear, soft like a whisper, yet everywhere at once. "Ryan Hale," the voice said. His full name, he froze. No one had told her his name. The commander looked up sharply. "Did you hear that?" Ryan pressed the button. "Lyra, how do you know my name?" Her answer came through calm as before. Because you were the one who called us long ago. And you answered again tonight. The room fell silent. The storm outside howled against the metal walls. Ryan felt the hairs rise on his neck. For the first time in his life, he didn't know if what stood in that room was an alien visitor, a messenger, or something humanity had simply forgotten existed. He looked once more through the glass. Lyra's silver eyes met his. The faint light beneath her skin shimmered like a living memory, and she smiled the same fearless smile she had worn when she first walked across the storm. And in that quiet moment, Ryan understood something he couldn't explain. She hadn't come there by accident. She had come for him. The storm outside still rolled across the desert, but inside the base, time felt heavy. Lyra sat quietly behind the glass wall of the quarantine chamber. Her silver eyes followed every small motion, each flicker of a monitor, each human breath beyond the glass. She did not seem trapped. She looked like someone simply waiting. Corporal Ryan Hale had not slept since bringing her in. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her walking through the dust, fearless, unbroken. Something about her calmness haunted him. Most creatures fought to survive. Lyra had walked through death as if it could not touch her. At dawn, the commander called the science team to the chamber. "We'll start another scan," he said. "If her signal jams our systems again, we'll isolate her power source manually." Ryan stood nearby, uneasy. The scientist powered up the spectral scanners. The beams swept over Lyra, painting faint blue light across her skin. For a moment, the machines held steady. Then, as before, the readings filled with static. The screens showed impossible energy fluctuations, living frequencies mixed with biological waves. One technician muttered, "Her body's not just organic. It's transmitting something. Data, maybe." Lyra opened her eyes. "It is not data," she said softly. "It is memory." The commander frowned. "Memory of what?" "Of my people. Of yours. The connection between us?" Her tone was calm, but every monitor jumped when she spoke. Symbols flashed against spirals, rings, and lines. The machines recorded them, but the computers could not translate. Ryan stepped forward. "What connection?" he asked. Lyra looked at him for a long time before answering. "When your species was young, you were not alone. My kind symbionts lived beside you. We shared breath and thought. Then your world changed. You forgot. We left." The commander folded his arms. "You expect us to believe ancient myths?" Lyra smiled faintly. "You can believe the storm does not exist, but it still breaks your walls." Ryan's attention fixed on her words. "You said you came here to find someone. Who?" Her gaze settled on him again. "You." The room went silent. The commander scowled. "Why him?" "Because his blood carries the fragment," she said. "The code from the old bond. He is a living echo." Ryan blinked. "My DNA?" "Yes. There is a small thread inside you. My kind gave it long ago to keep the link alive. It waited for the call." Commander turned sharply to the scientist. "Run his sample," Ryan protested. "Sir, you can't. Standard procedure," the commander cut him off. "If she's right, we need to confirm it."
Lyra didn't move.
She only watched the exchange, her expression unreadable. Hours later, the results came in. The lead biologist looked pale. "Sir, she's not wrong. There's a genetic fragment in Hale's sample we can't match to any Earth record. It's artificial, older than our database by thousands of years." The commander leaned forward. "Explain how that's possible." "It's not. But it's real." Ryan stared at the data, unsure whether to feel afraid or amazed. He remembered Lyra's words, "You carry our mark." She had known before any test. He walked back to the chamber. Lyra met him halfway, stopping on the other side of the glass. "Now you understand," she said quietly. "The signal in my body found its match in yours. That is why I could speak your name." Ryan pressed a hand against the glass. "What do you want from me?" "Not from you," she corrected. "With you?" Her eyes shimmered faintly. Not with light, but emotion. He could almost read sadness mixed with hope. "My mission is simple," she said. "Our ark returns. They seek proof that humanity remembers. If not, they will not come in peace. Ryan's voice dropped. They think we're enemies. They think you forgot the bond. And forgetfulness is the first form of betrayal. The commander called him to the briefing room. "Corporal Hale," he said, "you're now the primary contact. She reacts only to you. Keep her calm until headquarters decides." Ryan nodded, though his chest tightened. He returned to Lyra's chamber. The technicians left, leaving the room quiet, except for the hum of filters. Lyra looked weaker now. The faint glow beneath her skin had dimmed to pale silver. "Are you sick?" he asked. "My symbiont died in the fall," she answered. "It was a live part of me. It kept me warm, fed my cells. Without it, I fade." Ryan felt an ache in his chest. "Can we help?" She smiled sadly. "You already have. I breathe your air. It burns, but it reminds me of home," he frowned. "Home Earth," she said. "Long ago." The words struck him like thunder. "You mean your people came from here?" "Not came. Born here? We left when your kind no longer needed us. We thought you would rise. And you did, but without us, you grew apart from what you were." Ryan leaned back, stunned. "So you're saying humans and your people, we're connected?" "Yes," she said simply. "You and I are proof." Over the next day, communication improved. Lyra learned human words quickly. She asked endless questions: why humans smiled, why they slept, why they feared silence. She seemed fascinated by emotion itself, as if it was something she had never experienced deeply before. Ryan often brought her small things from the cafeteria: a cup of water, a warm blanket, once even a packet of sugar. She studied each gift with careful curiosity. When he handed her the sugar packet, she asked, "Why give sweetness?" He shrugged. "Because it makes people feel better." She tilted her head. "Then you must be kind." He smiled slightly. "Maybe I just don't like seeing anyone cold." Lyra watched his face for a long time. "You speak warmth, like it is something you can hold." Ryan laughed softly. "Sometimes it feels that way." For the first time, she laughed, to a quiet, gentle sound that echoed faintly through the speaker. The technicians listening paused, surprised by the sound's clarity. It didn't just fill the room. It resonated through the walls. Later, when Ryan was alone with her again, she said, "When I laugh, the machines hear it as code. Your world speaks in numbers now. Mine spoke in light." That night, Ryan sat outside the chamber, reviewing data. Lyra's presence had changed the station's atmosphere readings: temperature slightly higher, energy field more stable. It was as if her body was repairing the air itself. The commander entered quietly. "You've been spending too much time with her. I'm the only one she trusts," Ryan replied. The commander nodded slowly. "Headquarters wants to transport her off-world for study." Ryan looked up sharply. "That's a mistake. She's not a specimen. She's not human either," the commander said. "Orders are orders." Ryan clenched his fists, but said nothing. After the commander left, he turned toward the glass again. Lyra sat there, watching him with calm understanding. "You heard that, didn't you?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "They will take me apart to understand what cannot be divided." He stepped closer. "Then we'll stop them." "Right." She smiled faintly. "You would defy your own kind? If it keeps you safe?" For a moment, she seemed lost in thought. Then she whispered, "Humans still surprise me." The next morning, the storm outside reached its peak. Lightning clawed at the sky, shaking the outpost. Power flickered. The commander ordered evacuation of outer modules. But Lyra stood at the glass, her eyes shining brighter now. "They are near," she said. "Who?" Ryan asked. "My people. The Ark enters orbit. They are searching for my signal." The commander overheard and barked, "If she's calling an invasion, shut her down." Ryan shouted back, "Wait!" "She's not attacking." But alarms screamed massive energy readings above the atmosphere. Every screen filled with blinding light. The radar detected something huge, a vessel hidden inside the storm's center. Lyra placed her hand on the glass. "I can speak to them," she said. "But your weapons will make them see only threat." The commander grabbed the intercom. All defenses online. Ryan turned to him. Sir, listen to her. If we fight, we lose everything. Stand down, Corporal, the commander snapped. That's an order. Ryan hesitated, torn between obedience and instinct. Then he remembered the first moment she had smiled in the storm, fearless, trusting him. He made his choice. He pulled the power coupler from the console, cutting half the weapons offline. Sparks flew. The commander shouted his name, but Ryan was already moving toward the control dome inside. Lightning lit the world outside like day. The storm's heart swirled in enormous circles, and within it, a shape metallic, alive, shining like a city in the clouds. The alien Ark. Lyra's voice came through the radio softly. Ryan, you can end the fear. Let me speak. He pressed the transmitter key. Go ahead. The radio filled with tones, rising, falling, weaving together like music. The air around the dome vibrated. Static cleared, and for the first time, a deep, resonant signal answered from the Ark above. The technicians gasped. The alien ship responded with a pulse that rippled through every screen, displaying symbols identical to those Lyra had produced. It wasn't an attack. It was language. Lyra's tone grew faint. They are listening, but they need to feel your truth. My truth? He asked. Yes. Speak as human. He didn't know how, but he spoke anyway, simple words, from the heart. We don't want war. We only want to understand. If she came to us in peace, then we'll answer in peace. The storm began to slow. The light above the clouds dimmed to calm blue. A final pulse came from the Ark 3 beats. One pause, two more. Then silence. Ryan turned to the monitor. The reading translated acknowledged. Awaiting proof, he exhaled, shaking. Outside, the storm broke open, and moonlight spilled across the desert. Hours later, Ryan returned to the chamber. Lyra looked weaker again, but smiled when she saw him. They heard you, she whispered. He knelt beside the glass. What does that message mean? Morning came quiet for the first time in weeks. The storm had broken during the night, leaving the desert flat and shining under the pale twin suns. The outpost felt strangely alive, machines humming steadier, the air clearer. But inside, no one celebrated. The alien Ark still hovered above the clouds, unmoving, watching. Lyra rested in the quarantine room, her glow faint like dying embers. Ryan sat outside the glass wall, his hands clasped, exhaustion pulling at his face. He hadn't slept in 2 days. Every few minutes, checked the monitors to be sure her pulse still flickered on the screen. The commander entered quietly. She's stable? Ryan nodded. Barely. Headquarters wants results, the commander said. They think the ship's waiting for a signal from her. If she dies before sending it, they'll assume hostility. Ryan looked up. Then let me help her send it. That's above your clearance, Corporal. Sir, Ryan said firmly, if she's our only link, then orders don't matter. Peace does. The commander hesitated, seeing the fire in the soldier's eyes. At last he said, You've got one chance. You fail, and I'll cut the power to her cell. Inside the chamber, Ryan found Lyra awake but weak. Her eyes struggled to focus, yet she smiled when she saw him. You look tired, she said softly. So do you, he replied. I am. Fading. My body cannot stay long without my symbiont, but the connection between us is still alive. He moved closer. You said the Ark's waiting for proof? What kind? She closed her eyes, breathing slowly. They will listen only to a shared code, one that carries both our signals. Mine and yours. Ryan frowned. How do we make that? By trust, she whispered. The old bond was made through touch, not command. Her hand lifted slightly. If you allow me, I can connect our memories. Only for a moment. Enough to show them that humanity remembers. Ryan hesitated. Will it hurt you? Her faint smile returned. It will hurt both of us. But only if we fear it. He removed his gloves and placed his palm gently against the glass. Lyra mirrored the gesture. The glass vibrated once, then shimmered. A web of light spread from their hands, thin and silver like threads of frost. The glass softened until his skin touched hers directly. A pulse went through him, cold, then warm, then infinite. He gasped as flashes filled his mind. Stars being born, oceans turning to mist. Shapes of beings made of light walking beside primitive humans under bright skies. He saw hands reaching across centuries. And he heard a voice, hers and not hers, saying, "Remember us, and we will return."
Ow.
The connection broke suddenly. He staggered back, breathing hard. Lyra slumped against the wall, her glow almost gone. "It is done," she whispered. "They will see." Ryan turned toward the monitor. On every screen, the same pattern appeared, spirals of light forming circles. Then a pulse in binary rhythm, human and alien code intertwined. It broadcast straight upward, past the atmosphere, into the clouds where the ark waited. Minutes passed like hours. The base trembled once, as if thunder rolled beneath the sand. Then a single beam of blue light fell from the sky, striking the desert beyond the perimeter. The energy reading spiked, but did not attack. Instead, it stabilized, steady, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. The commander's voice filled the intercom. "What's happening?" Ryan answered quietly. "They're answering her." The beams spread across the horizon, forming a dome of light. Within it, faint shapes, moved structures, towers, almost transparent. The air shimmered with sound, not mechanical, but musical. Every instrument in the base recorded the same frequency, a message. Lyra opened her eyes. "They accept your voice," she said faintly. "But they still test your heart." "How?" Ryan asked. "They will see how you protect what is fragile." "Okay." Almost on cue, alarms blared. The beam's energy was drawing the base's power into overload. If it continued, the reactors would detonate. The commander shouted orders to evacuate. Ryan ignored them. He ran to the control board, hands flying over switches. "Ryan." The commander barked. "Leave her and get out." He shook his head. "She's the reason they stopped the storm. If she dies, peace dies with her." He rerouted emergency power to Lyra's chamber, cutting life support to half the outpost. The lights dimmed everywhere except around her. She watched him silently, her expression calm. "You would risk everything for one life," she said. He met her gaze. "You walked through fire to reach me? I'm just returning the favor." Her lips curved in a weak smile. "Then humanity has not forgotten." The building shook violently. The overload reached critical levels. Ryan triggered the manual release on the reactor vent. A section of the desert opened, sending a column of fire skyward. The blast blinded him for a second. When the light cleared, the ark's beam narrowed, drawing the energy upward like a river pulled to the stars. The pressure eased. Systems stabilized. The base held. The commander stared at the monitors in disbelief. "You did it." Ryan turned toward the chamber, but Lyra was collapsing. He burst through the quarantine door, alarms screaming behind him. The metallic floor burned his boots, but he reached her side and caught her before she fell. Her body felt lighter than air, her skin cool and faintly shining. "Stay with me," he said. Her eyes fluttered open. "The bond is complete. They know you remember. You'll be fine now. They can heal you." She shook her head gently. "No, my time here is finished. I was sent to open the door, not walk through it." He gripped her hand. "Then I'll follow you through it." She looked at him with soft wonder. "You would leave your world? If it means peace?" "Yes." For a moment, the air shimmered again. The arc above sent one last pulse, brighter than the sun. Through the cracked ceiling, a soft rain of silver dust began to fall. Each particle glowed as it touched the ground, merging with the air. The desert outside transformed into a sea of faint light. Lyra turned her face toward it. "My people are returning home." Ryan felt tears burn his eyes. "Then stay and see it." "I will," she whispered through you. A quiet hum filled the room. The glow from her body lifted, streaming upward like smoke drawn to heaven. The silver dust swirled around them, then faded into clear daylight. When it was gone, only the thermal blanket lay in his arms. He stood slowly, staring at the empty space where she had been. Outside, the storm clouds were gone. The ark rose higher, its immense form outlined against the morning sky. It pulsed once a signal land, then disappeared beyond the upper atmosphere. Leaving only silence and a calm blue horizon, the commander walked up behind Ryan. Was she telling the truth? Ryan didn't look away from the sky. Yes, and now they know we remember. Commander nodded slowly. Headquarters will want a full report. Ryan smiled faintly. Tell them the truth. Tell them we met an angel made of light. Weeks passed. The outpost became a research site again, now watched by scientists from across the world. They studied the residual energy in the sand, the strange symbols etched into the metal walls. No one could explain them. The files recorded one final message from Lyra's signal, simple and clear. Harmony begins when fear ends. Ryan stayed at the base, assigned as liaison to the ongoing project. At night, he would walk out to the ridge where she had first appeared. The sand there still shimmered faintly under the stars. He would close his eyes and sometimes feel that same warmth in the air, the same quiet voice whispering human. You came. Each time, he smiled. The world felt different now because of the aliens above, but because of one who had walked among them without fear. He knew humanity would change because of her. Not through war, not through conquest, but through understanding. And he also knew the Ark would return one day not to test, but to join. When that day came, Ryan Hale would be ready to answer again. He looked once more at the horizon. The same desert where she had stood, fearless and calm. The wind moved softly across the sand, carrying the silver dust of the past into the rising dawn. And for the first time since she vanished, Ryan felt peace. Not the silence of emptiness, but the stillness of connection that never truly ends.